Welcome to Trust Talks with BBB Serving CT. I'm Kristen Johnson. In business, Trust Talks and Better Business Bureau's mission is to enhance marketplace trust. In each one of our episodes, we hope to give you a better idea of what to look for, what to look out for, and what to expect so you can spend your money wisely and avoid being scammed. I think today's episode will really resonate with a lot of you, especially if you live in one of the 65 million households in this country who has a dog. Chris and Jonathan Walker join us from Clean Paws Mobile Pet Spa in Westbrook. Thank you both for being with us today.
Thank you, Chris.
So Clean Paws Mobile Pet Spa, the emphasis is on mobile. They don't have to go anywhere, you go to them, correct?
That is correct.
Tell me where you came up with this idea of a mobile pet grooming business, Chris.
Oh gosh, about 9 or 10 years ago, we knew some folks that were in this business, and we saw it popping up in different areas of the state, and we thought this could be a good thing to have along the shoreline of Connecticut, and there was a need for it.
And nearly a decade later, you've proved that correct.
Absolutely. Yes.
So some of the things that some of the perks of this for the pet owner is no more cages, no more sick rides, car sick rides, no more worrying about kennel cough. Jonathan, what are some of the other benefits of using a mobile pet spa?
Yeah, I would for sure say the benefits to it is, most importantly, it's the one-on-one experience from the dog groomer to the dog, which is important. Sometimes with, standalone places, they get passed around from a bather to a groomer, then to someone that does the nail trimming, things like that. So it's really important that they're comfortable with the groomer. So they're not scared and more intimidated by the process.
And Chris, with the busy lives that we all lead today, it also gives you more of your time back, right? Because you're not driving back and forth to the grooming facility that you would normally take them to.
It sure does. You're able to book a time that's convenient for you. We have a 1-hour window, either before or after, depending on some grooms will go a little longer than others, some will go a little quicker. And so it's really convenient for scheduling times. And we're open 7 days a week for that too. So weekend appointments are available.
And you make those appointments by calling or going online?
Well, phone calls come in, and we try and take those as much as we can. And also online is very popular for people to go to. Okay. And we have a contact information form. You go to our website, cleanpaws.biz, and fill that out with all the information on it.
And Jonathan, how does this also reduce the stress and separation anxiety that pets can sometimes have when they go to a groomer?
I would say for sure they're not like feeling the car ride, so the instant anxiety of going somewhere else hasn't set in. There also is a very small window where they're not going to be distracted by the exterior events going on, but they can still see their home and things they're familiar with.
There's no other dogs around them
that
are getting groomed at the same time like you would at a different type of facility.
Yeah, it's just me and the dog, some music, some treats, and we just have a good time.
And so they literally go from their house, come out their front door, and you're probably parked in their driveway or on the side of the street, so it's not far walk. Yep. And do the owners stay with them or no?
No, for the most part. I mean, because a lot of the times the dogs just want to get to the owners, which could cause the grooming process to become a little more dangerous.
Okay.
Of course, safety is our number one concern. So we don't want them trying to jump out of the tub or jump off the table when the dog owner's standing by. So if they need it, we'll see what we can do. But for the most part, it's their safety that we worry about.
I can see the chaos that could transpire potentially.
Yes.
That's for sure. And then the owner gets an extra hour. If they work from home, they can get something done, do the dishes, that sort of thing. So it's called a spa. Are there different levels of services or different packages, just like there would be at a human spa?
Yeah, so there is. Of course, we can start with the puppy package, which is just a basic grooming to get puppies used to the grooming, which is just a traditional bath, blow dry, nails trimming, toothbrushing, and cleaning of the ears. And then you could also get nail buffing as well, which is an additional thing that you can add on. There are shampoo upgrades and things like that you can apply to it as well.
Okay, truth be told, I've never had a dog. I've only really had a fish. So what is the basic grooming regimen that all dog owners need to be following? Or is it dependent on the type of dog? Whoever wants to take that question.
Jonathan.
Yeah, so it's definitely, it can go both ways. So every dog has nails, and they also have teeth and ears that need to be maintained and cleaned to ensure that there's no infections and things like that going on. So nail trims are usually recommend every 4 months, but full grooming regimens and stuff, it does depend on coat breeds. If you have a longer, curlier, denser coat, of course you want to get it more groomed more often, like every 4 to 6 weeks. There's some groomings that you can stretch to 8 to 12, but nails should always be done right around 3 to 6 weeks.
Can any of this be done at home?
Depending on the owner's confidence, absolutely. Okay. A lot of the times they try, it doesn't go as planned, they get scared, the dog gets scared, then they call us.
Especially with the trimming nails, maybe that's something you want to leave up to the professionals?
Yes,
I would never be able to trim my dog's nails.
For sure.
What kind of dog do you have?
Shih Tzu Bichon.
Okay,
So.
and you,
I have,
you have a dog?
Yeah, I have a boxer pit bull.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay, so you have a little dog. You have a much bigger dog.
I do.
Okay, very good. Okay, so this is $1 billion market. Chris, you probably know this. Grooming and boarding hit over $10 billion in revenue in 2023, and that number is expected to jump to nearly $16 billion in another 4 years. So you've gotten the right business, that's
Thank
for
you.
sure. So dog owners spend an average of $99 a year on pet grooming. Here's the breakdown for dogs. Average grooming costs between $30 and $90. Specialized trims can cost between $50 to more than $150. So you kind of talked about this a little bit, Jonathan, but does the pricing also reflect the size of the pet? You talked about like thicker fur and that sort of thing, but is it also the size of the pet, or does it go by weight?
So we take in multiple things into consideration. Of course, the size of the pet, you know, a pug and a Bernese Mountain Dog, very big weight difference, isn't going to be the same price. But then you have to take into consideration the last time they were groomed, the location that we are traveling to since we go to their driveway, and as well as the type of coat that you're working with and if there's a haircut needed or not.
You talked about the online sign up. Is that where you would get like an estimate ahead of time, and you put in the size and the information about your dog like that?
That is correct,
Okay.
yes. So it gives us a criteria to sort of give us an idea for pricing so we can give you a quote.
Okay, so you said there are some things you might want to leave up to the professionals, but in between grooming, are there things that as pet owners we should be doing?
Oh.
100%.
He'll say brush all the time.
100%. So of course brushing is important, but you never want to overbrush. I always recommend, you know, depending on the coat, you know, a couple times a week, you know, a few minutes, 5 to 10 minutes each session. And then also, you know, brushing teeth at home and cleaning ears are two things that you can also keep up with that are very easy that the dog usually allows you to do as well.
As you know, many pet owners treat their dogs like family, right? They're one of the family, and you don't trust them with just anyone.
Right.
You're not going to put them in just anyone's hands. So what questions do you get asked the most by clients, and what question do you wish they would ask?
Well,
Who wants to take that one?
I would say they do worry about, you know, the pet being in the van, you know, without them there. I know that my own pet would be probably very difficult to work with if I was in the van with my own pet, because they get there's more anxiety involved. But the nice part is, you know, once they get to know the service and understand it, they wag their tails before the groomer even shows up for the appointment, and they know they're coming.
Is there anything you wish that they were more aware of, the pet owner, beforehand? Maybe to calm their nerves, or just maybe something that they don't necessarily understand typically?
I would say how truly, how much we truly care about the dogs, and the pride that our employees take, including myself. I always say it's like being a doctor. They have beating hearts. You know, one thing could really cause things to go south. So you really need to take pride. And if I were to tell one thing to everybody, is we do take pride, we care, and we want to make sure that your dog's safe.
And that's why you want to do your research ahead of time. You said there are other businesses out there that do this. Obviously, we just talked about it being a $1 billion business. So, you know, there's always going to be some bad seeds, and that's why you want to make sure you're picking the right one. And you want to take that time ahead of time, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So look at the website. Let's go over some other questions you might want to ask before hiring a groomer. How long have you been grooming, and where were you trained? Is that something that do you get that question?
Absolutely.
And why is that important?
Well, it's a very specialized industry, so you want to make sure that somebody's had several years grooming experience before they're going to groom your pet. And certifications. There's different certification levels you can get as well, and different training levels you can get as well. So those are things you definitely want to look at to make sure you're dealing with an experienced groomer. And we always recommend, we do a meet and greet with our customers,
Okay.
to make sure that it's a good fit, and that the pet's comfortable, that the owners are comfortable, and that our groomer is comfortable. Because like Jonathan was saying, safety is the utmost concern for the pet and the groomers during the groom, and they want to make sure that everybody's comfortable.
Are there any, is this regulated by the state? Are there licensing or registration requirements?
There is licensing through the Department of Agriculture for mobile pet groomers.
So you need to check that out too. Make sure they're licensed and
Absolutely.
registered.
Well, for the physical groomer themselves, they don't need, so this is important actually, and I'm glad you brought this up. In the state of Connecticut, you don't need a license or a certificate to be a dog groomer, which I don't like. So do your research and make sure that the person that is working is accredited and able to do the job for sure.
So obviously, you want to go to bbb.org and read those reviews.
For sure.
Complaints, but what are some other ways you can find out whether they're a good groomer?
Well, I would say just basically through a basic interview process would be to ask the right questions, like how long have you been doing this for? How long have you been? Of course, reviews online, very important.
And word of mouth, I bet you get a lot of business from word of mouth.
Yes.
Oh, boy, do we get a lot of business from word of mouth, and especially because, when they see the mobile vans going through the neighborhood and such, people call as it goes by. It's got a very colorful logo and attracts a lot of attention.
Yeah, we have some pictures of the van that we're showing so people can see what it looks like on the outside. What does it look like on the inside, Jonathan?
Yeah, on the inside, it's modern. We have everything that's waterproof, of course, sealed nice and tight. There's a lot of electric and water in a close proximity, so we have to make sure it's sealed up real nice and very clean. But we have a really good sized bathtub that can fit a lot of dogs, a lot of different breeds, and then a really nice table that can go up and down to help the pups get into the tubs and stuff like that. And then we do have a 65-gallon freshwater tank that also has a 55-gallon drain tank, and it is fully self-contained. We pull in your driveway, and all we need is your pups to start.
You may or may not know this off the top of your head. Biggest dog you've ever groomed by weight?
100%. I would say there's two of them. There was a 175-pound Great Dane who I had to do a deskunking on.
Oh, no.
And yes, yep. And then there was a 163-pound Irish Wolfhound. Those were like the two biggest dogs I ever worked with. Yeah.
And how did they behave?
They were wonderful, actually. The difficulty with those groomings is the weight itself. If there's temperament and weight, it's kind of one of those jobs where you say, is this going to work out? So you have to think about those and make that decision before you get too far ahead in the process.
So I'm thinking, it's a spa. This is like luxurious. Deskunking would have never crossed my mind that you get dogs that have been in other very dirty situations. that you have
Correct.
to-
Yes, we offer deskunking services as well, and also flea.
Oh.
Pets get fleas.
Okay.
And so we have a regiment that we need to follow when it comes to that, but we do also do deflea.
Okay, so another good question is, what is your grooming process? So, what is your grooming process? I bring a dog, or you come to my house and I have the dog. What happens first?
Well, of course, we go over the instructions and the descriptions on what the owner is looking for in the grooming, if there's a haircut or not, and if they have any allergies to treats or shampoos, or if there's any allergies in the house that we should be aware of, like scents or things like that. And then we go into the van and we start the process with a nice bath, where we use a hydro bathing machine, and it's like a massaging machine for the pups, and that's where like the spa feature comes in. Nice warm soapy water, and the pups really do like it. After that, of course, we rinse them through real well, give them a towel dry, we blow dry them fully, and then we start the grooming process itself, where we brush the hair out, we do the nail trimming, we trim any hair that needs it, stuff like that.
That sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
Can I try it? No. Just the spa part, right?
And not only that, but the vans themselves have a climate package to them, so they hold in the heat and the air conditioning in the summertime. As you know, it gets very hot as well.
I was wondering if
So-
this is more seasonal, but it's not. You say you do business 7 days a week.
Absolutely, year round,
year
and
round.
even in these cold temperatures, because the pet's going to leave the van fully dry
Okay.
and completely comfortable during the whole process.
You talked about the fact that it could be dangerous for the owner to be in there during the grooming process, but is it a red flag if the groomer won't even show you the space ahead of time?
100%. Yes.
I would say so.
Yes. I mean, so on average, I do anywhere from 8 to 10 dogs a day. If a groomer is kind of hesitant to show you a van or the salon that they're working in, that they're bringing your pups into, that means there might be hair or other things in the van or on the ground that they don't want you to see. So it is also nice to check to make sure the van's clean for the pups.
Okay.
We have to go through a sanitation process.
Yes.
After
I was going to ask you about that.
every single groom.
Yes.
So, it starts off fresh every time we have a new client.
Well, why don't you tell me about that? That's a question that people should ask, is what are your sanitation procedures? Why is that important to ask? I think it's pretty obvious, but, and what should the answer be? What do they need to be hearing back?
So, of course, we clean in between every grooming and, of course, before and after every grooming. That includes tools, all equipment, the whole van, wipe down the walls, everything. It's not only important for us, but it's also important for them because there's debris and stuff flying around like dry skin, hair, dirt, things like that, that me personally as a human, I don't want to breathe in.
Yeah.
So if it's not clean in there, then I'm not clean and they're not clean and the whole job is a waste. So it is important for health issues, most importantly.
Okay, another question is, how is your price structured? Of course, you want to know what's going to cost you ahead of time. You talked about getting an estimate, but is there a traditional price structure for this type of business? Or when you go from business to business, is it going to be pretty much the same or no?
It's definitely not the same.
Okay.
It kind of varies across the board. Like you said, we have a puppy package that we offer just to get a new pet used to the grooming process.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually about a $75 package just to get that done. Mobile grooming, you're always going to find, is going to be more expensive than a standalone groomer where the pet's left there all afternoon, and as opposed to door-to-door service. So, but I would say on average, it's about $110 to $125.
Okay, but you want to know that ahead of time, obviously.
Yeah.
Anytime you buy anything, you want to know ahead of time.
Yeah, I mean, but again, if you have, like Jonathan said, so if it's a pet that hasn't been maintained in a while or needs a lot of work, we've been at some people's homes for several hours.
Really?
Grooming a pet, and of course, you obviously for that time have to charge accordingly as you go along for that. So some of these things come up you can't foresee, and that's why it's very important that the groomer do that beginning interview process with the pet.
Because you have employees, you have to pay for their time. That makes sense.
Of course.
And then the last question is, what steps are in place to ensure my pet's safety? So what are the steps? What should they be hearing when they ask this question?
Well, of course, the first step is the knowledge the groomer has to ensure the safety of the grooming process. We do also have leads and stuff and connectors and harnesses and things that we can use during the grooming to ensure that the pups is staying safe, staying, still, not moving around too much. And really it's just taking your time and knowing when the dog has had enough, because that's when most injuries take place, is when they're trying to get that perfect haircut and the dog is stressing out and they don't know when to stop and they keep going, and then something could happen, unfortunately. So
what if the dog, and this has probably happened to you, it's had enough and you're not done? Like, you're only halfway done. What do you come back? What happens?
Yeah, what we do actually, we'll make a second appointment.
Okay.
And then we'll just come back and complete the service.
absolutely.
Okay.
Most of the times they're understanding that they're our kids, so if they're not liking it, they'll let it slide, and we'll come back and fix it up. So.
They don't want their pet to be miserable.
No,
That's right.
Especially if it's the first time and they don't know what to expect.
100%.
And you want to make it a good experience because it is something that is on a regular, ongoing basis.
It sounds like. Yeah.
As a result, our clients are happy to see the groomer when they come because
we're happy to see them.
they love the service. It's funny when you see them in action. They are in a spa themselves. They really love the process once they get used to it.
Yeah,
So.
you want them wagging their tail when they see that logo.
Absolutely,
show up, right?
100%. And that's why the meet and greet, we call it, is very important, because some pets just they won't get along with the groomer, and that's why we would have to refuse it just for safety reasons.
Does that happen very often?
Not very often, but once in a while.
Once in a while.
Because we go to their safe environment, so sometimes they want to protect their home, and that's their place, you know. So it's understanding sometimes.
Is that breed specific, or could it be any breed that you have those issues with?
It can be. It can be. You know. I mean, it depends. I mean, there's some guard dogs that
Right,
guard
that's
a
what
little
I'm
more,
thinking.
and then there's other pups that have had a rough past and just don't
Gotcha.
like big vans or
Yeah.
don't like guys or girls or there's
never know.
multiple things.
That's right.
Okay. Any other?
And we try and accommodate that too.
Of course.
So,
Of course.
Female pet groomer.
Really?
come,
Okay.
or male pet groomer, depending, because again, the parents will always tell us that, well, my dog doesn't like males or doesn't like females, or one way or the other, and that way we try and accommodate that too and take that in consideration. So.
Very good. And speaking of employees, you're expanding.
Yes. Yes.
Are you expanding the location that you cover, that you serve, or do you just have so much business in the area that you serve that you?
Yeah, we're on the shoreline down to Bramford and as far as New London and up as high as Middletown.
Wow.
And that area. So we are adding another mobile grooming van. This will be our third one. And we have such a wonderful staff and that it's ready to add another vehicle.
Wow. You have a rather large footprint then in Connecticut.
Yes.
Don't you?
Yeah.
Any questions that I missed that I didn't ask? I feel like I asked a lot, but like I said off the top, I'm not a pet owner, so is there anything I missed that you think people need to know about this industry?
I think you asked a lot of good questions today, actually.
Thank you. I tried.
Yeah, I especially like the one about asking what you should look for in a mobile groomer. I think first thing would be to start with the Better Business Bureau as an accredited business, and look at reviews, and then of course meet with the groomer to make sure everybody's comfortable before you go through with the process.
How far in advance do you need to make an appointment typically?
Well, I guess it depends on need. We always recommend don't call if you need something today
Yeah, right.
or tomorrow. Generally, we book out about a couple weeks in advance. So you want to get that on the schedule prior to needing it right away.
Okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned BBB. You've been accredited with BBB for nearly 8 years.
Yes.
Been in business for about 9. Why did you seek accreditation? What do you hope it says to your customers?
I hope it says trust. I hope it says that you can trust this business to do the right thing, to take care of you, and to give you the service that you deserve as a client in the marketplace.
Because we know how important pets are to people, BBB has actually created a one-stop shop of information for owners. At bbb.org/pets, you can read articles with tips on buying a puppy, calculate the cost of owning a pet, learn about pet insurance, traveling with pets, and online scams to watch out for. One of the most common and costly online scams are pet scams, so it's definitely something worth educating yourself about. And finally, you can find pet resources like veterinarians, boarders, and groomers near you. And as we mentioned already, you can read complaints and reviews at bbb.org. Look at how these businesses handled the complaint. See if you would be satisfied with the way that they responded to that complaint. Doing a little bit of research will save you a lot of time, money, and headaches after the fact. So definitely go to bbb.org to look all of that up. Chris and Jonathan, thank you so much for being with us. We really, really appreciate it. This is an interesting topic. And as I said, there's 65 million households in the U.S. with dogs. So I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this and maybe taught them something new. Maybe they haven't heard of mobile pet spas before. So we thank you very much for being with us today. Clean Paws Mobile Pet Spa out of Westbrook. And join us next month when we will celebrate Women's History Month. We're going to have 3 BBB accredited CEOs as our guests. Thanks again for being with us. Have a great day.
Nutmeg TV has been providing community television for over 30 years. We needed some studio upgrades, and Ion Bank believed in us. As a result of Ion Bank's financial help, we've been able to help others move on in a field that's difficult to get experience in. You're working with partners who understand who you are, and Ion Bank does that. They walk with us every day. It's community banking at its best.
The water's warm at Jaws Pond, and we're stocked full of treasures. Big or small, we buy it all. We buy and sell fast rides, power tools, vintage guitars, and so much more. Walk the plank in style with our fine jewelry, diamonds, and watches. Plus, we have a huge selection of the latest video games, including the new PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. Jaws Pond, conveniently located on Meriden Waterbury Turnpike in Southington and West Main Street in New Britain.